Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Should I start over?
Yeah.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen.
Good afternoon.
And what a beautiful afternoon it is, correct?
Yes.
Guess what?
What?
Guess what?
What?
My name is Michael. Hi, hi. Hello to all of you. And I was born here on the island of Manhattan 62 years ago. And I've been giving this tour now for 38 years. And with great pleasure, I say to you, welcome to New York.
Thank you.
What's the matter? You guys don't clap here? Raise your hand if you're listening to the tour. Raise your hand.
Yes.
Look around you at all the hands. Every single person on this boat is sitting next to someone who is listening to the tour. So please do not ruin the experience for others. Please keep your voices down. No screaming across the boat if you can help it. Guess what? I'm going to say that a lot. You got to get used to it. Guess what?
What?
Let's start the tour. Please look to the right side of the boat. Here on the right side of the boat is the state of New Jersey. I have absolutely nothing to tell you about New Jersey, so let's look back to the left. All right, guys, here we go. If you look to the left side of the boat, you'll see a monument. That monument is called the Vessel. The Vessel is the newest monument on the island, and it sits in the center of the newest neighborhood on the island. This neighborhood surrounding the Vessel is called Hudson Yards. Hudson Yards is where the billionaires live. Hudson Yards is where the millionaires live. Hudson Yards is where I do not live. If you look at the tallest building here at Hudson Yards, you'll see a deck sticking out. That deck is called The Edge. The Edge is America's highest outdoor glass bottom observation deck. It's one of the top 3 on the island. That's right, I said island. Not only are you looking at one of the tallest cities in the world, not only are you looking at one of the greatest cities in the world, you are also looking at a very small island. The island of Manhattan is only 2.5 miles wide. That would be 14th Street, the widest point of the island, 2.5 miles. The island is also only 13.5 miles long. That would be Broadway. Broadway goes the entire length of the island. And then there is Fifth Avenue. Each and every one of you, at some point, will either walk across Fifth Avenue or walk along Fifth Avenue. Remember this, Fifth Avenue is the border. Fifth Avenue is the border that separates the east side of the island from the west side of the island. We are now on the west side of the island. We are now on the Hudson River. Guess what?
Wow.
This river just happens to be the deepest river in the USA. This river is 205 feet deep. Guess what?
What?
If you fall off the boat, I'm not coming to get you. Guess what?
What?
Guess what?
What?
Did you guys know that the Titanic was headed here to Chelsea Piers? This was the destination of the Titanic. If the Titanic did not sink in the Atlantic Ocean in 1912 on the eve of April 14th, they would have ended their voyage here. If you look on the other side of Chelsea Piers, if you look on the other side of Chelsea Piers, you'll see a white building that looks like a massive block of ice. That building is called the Iceberg Building. The Iceberg Building is a memorial to the Titanic. I have a question. How long have I been speaking to you guys? 5 minutes, 8 minutes, 11 minutes? What are your thoughts? Scream out a number.
5.
Most of you said 5. You're probably right. But you know it doesn't really matter because you've all known me long enough to know, what am I about to say?
What?
I can't hear you.
Guess what?
I still can't hear you.
Guess what?
I really want to hear you.
Guess what?
That's exactly what I'm about to say. Guess what?
What?
If I was only in New York City for a few days, and if I had to choose between Central Park, which is a historical park, it's a landmark park. We call Central Park because it sits in the center of the island. But if I had to choose between Central Park and this little island right here on the left side of the boat, guess what?
What?
I would definitely choose this island. Why would I choose this island? Because there's no other island like it in all the world. There's no other park like it in all the world. This park is called the Little Island. Guess what?
What?
It's the most unique park you'll ever visit. It is an interactive, keyword interactive park. Lots to do, see, touch, and experience when on the Little Island. The Little Island is a public space, therefore it is absolutely free to walk the ramp onto the Little Island. If you look in the sky above the Little Island, ladies and gentlemen, you're looking at the most famous building in all the world, the Empire State Building. The Empire State Building was built in 1929. When it was completed, it was the tallest man-made structure in all the world. The Empire State Building stands a grand 102 stories high. Guess what?
What?
I told you I'm going to say that a lot. Guess what?
What?
Long before cable television, long before the internet, at one time, that antenna provided television and radio reception to all of New York and the tri-state area. Raise your hand if you were born before cable. Look, guys, all the old people raise their hand. There they go. That's me too. Are you listening? Are you listening well?
Yes.
This is very important. If you're having your meals, if you're eating at restaurants in the Times Square area, guess what?
What?
You are spending way too much money to eat in our city. The Times Square area, Rockefeller Center area, is the most expensive place in all of New York City to buy anything. 1.6 million people live here on the island of Manhattan. Not my super rich neighbors, not my super famous neighbors, not the average guy like myself. We do not go to Times Square because it's just too expensive. The quality of service is the worst. The quality of food is not the best you can get for what you're paying. But it's still the most expensive place. Listen very carefully. Are you listening?
Yes.
When dining out in New York City, he must bring you downtown into our neighborhoods. You are safe wherever you go on the island of Manhattan. Just like when you are home, you use common sense. You're safe wherever you go. And the one neighborhood where you should have all your meals is right here. This neighborhood is called Greenwich Village. Greenwich Village is the home of jazz, comedy, hip-hop, salsa, merengue, country, western, line dancing. You can even get a little bit of reggaeton in Greenwich Village. Greenwich Village is the home of Oprah Winfrey, Taylor Swift, Will Smith, Bruce Willis, Demi Moore, Mel Gibson, Brooke Shields. You name a country, you'll find a restaurant that serves food from that country in Greenwich Village. Greenwich Village is the place to be when visiting New York City. Another great neighborhood now on the left side of the boat, this neighborhood is called Soho. Soho stands for South of Houston Street. Soho is the home of New York City's art galleries. Every fashion designer you ever heard of has a shop in Soho. Soho is also one of those neighborhoods where you should have a meal or two. Come downtown and go into our great, great neighborhoods. Guess who?
Who?
Guess who?
Who?
The Chinese people. Guess where?
Where?
Chinatown, now on the left side of the boat. Did you guys know that Chinatown is the oldest community in New York City? The African Americans, the Italians, the Irish, the Greek, the Puerto Ricans, the Mexicans, the Dominicans, the Brazilians, the Filipinos, the Israelis, the Palestinians, the Russians, the Ukrainians, the Japanese, the Cubans, the Koreans have all relocated their communities many, many times throughout the history of New York. But the Chinese people have always remained in the same exact location since 1711, which makes Chinatown the oldest community in New York. Millions and millions of tourists go to Chinatown every year, and they all go to Canal Street. But if you go to Chinatown, be sure to go to Mott Street, M-O-T-T. Mott Street is the very first, and it's the most authentic street in all of Chinatown. Are you listening?
Yes.
Are you listening well?
Yes.
Chinatown, ladies and gentlemen, is the only place in the entire state of New York where you can buy. Are you listening, ladies?
Yes.
Are you listening, fellas?
Yes.
Chinatown is the only place in the entire state of New York where you can buy. Somebody say what?
What?
A Rolex watch for $25. It's fake for sure. 9/11. 9/11. 9/11, por favor. Thank you. Thank you all for joining me in a moment of silence for some of my dear friends and 3,000 people that died right here on the left side of the boat on the morning known to the world as 9/11. 3,000 people died that morning. When those terrorists took control of those two airplanes, they came above our island and hit the Twin Towers. Within 90 minutes, both those towers came falling down. Every single thing that you see here on the left side of the boat was severely damaged or had ashes completely covering it. Those 3,000 people look just like us. They did nothing wrong. If you were here that morning, like I was, you could smell death in the air. It was the worst morning in the history of this country. I will never ever forget that morning. We must never forget that morning. You are not looking at a tourist attraction. You are looking at Ground Zero. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Ground Zero. Guess what?
What?
Guess who?
Who?
Guess where?
Where?
Guess when?
When?
Guess why?
Why?
Guess how?
How?
Are you guys having a great time?
Yes.
That's how we're going to continue. Look to the right side of the boat. Oops, I forgot that's New Jersey. I have nothing to tell you. Look back to the left. If you look to the left side of the boat, ladies and gentlemen, you'll see a long white building. That building is called Pier A. Pier A is the oldest standing pier in America. It is the first pier in America. It was built, it was built by the Dutch. When the Dutch people arrived on this island in the year 1624, they encountered many Indian tribes. Those Indians were not prepared to share the island with the Dutch. So the Dutch and the Indians, they fought for many, many months. Many of the Dutch people died during the fighting. Many of the Indians died during the fighting. When the Dutch finally got tired of fighting with those Indian tribes, guess what? They took 300 African slaves and they had those slaves build a wall. It was a massive wall. The wall went from river to river. Guess what? Those slaves built the strong and mighty wall. The wall worked. No more fighting with the Indian tribes. No more fighting with the Dutch. No more Indians dying. No more Dutch dying. But the Dutch had a bigger concern. They knew that one day the British would arrive. 54 years after that wall went up, guess who?
Who?
The British finally arrived. The very first thing the British did, they made peace with those Indian tribes. Then the British came down here to the south end of the island, and they conquered the Dutch. They took over the island and named the whole city New York. The Dutch called it New Amsterdam. But when the British took over, they renamed the city New York after the Duke of York, who was the nephew of the King of England during that time. And guess what the British did next?
What?
I said, guess what the British did next?
What?
You know that wall the Dutch had built? Well, the British people knocked that wall down and named that space Wall Street. And that's how Wall Street got its name. But never ever forget this. The Dutch did something absolutely incredible. Something that each and every one of us enjoy in our lives. The Dutch created the very first park in America. It's called Bowling Green Park, and it's still here today, right behind the Wall Street Bull. Guess what? Because of that one park, we now have over 40 million parks across the USA, and there's parks wherever you come from as well. And that all began with the Dutch. They gave us the parks, and for that, we are grateful. I love a good park. I want all the young people on the boat to please explain to me, you're young, right? Please explain to me what in the world, I want all the young people to just tell me the answer to this question. What in the world does OMG mean?
Oh my goodness!
I can't hear you.
Oh my God!
I still can't hear you.
Oh my God!
Oh my God. You see this ship here on the left side of the boat? This ship is called the Staten Island Ferry. Guess what?
What?
It's free. There's no ticket. There's no line. The wide doors open, all 3,000 tourists rush in. It's a 1 hour round trip ride. It leaves every 30 minutes until midnight. But here's the tip. Are you listening? You want to ride the Staten Island Ferry at nighttime, when it's dark outside, because everything that your eyes see today, you see it all in lights. And I'm gonna tell you this, it's guaranteed to be one of your favorite hours in New York City. Ride the Staten Island Ferry. It's absolutely free, and you want to do it when it's dark outside. Tonight it gets dark at about 5:15, and the last boat leaves at midnight from Battery Park. Guess what?
What?
It's the perfect way to end a perfect day in New York. All right, so we left the Hudson River, which is 205 feet deep. We just crossed the harbor. Now we're on the East River. We're now on the other side of the island, and we're gonna go up the East River just a little bit. Then we're gonna turn around and head to the Statue of Liberty. Look to the left side of the boat. You see those helicopters? When all presidents of the United States of America, hold on 1 second, hold on, come on, take that picture again, come on. When all presidents of the United States of America come to New York, they get on an airplane called Air Force One. Air Force One takes the president to JFK Airport. From JFK Airport, the president gets into a helicopter, and that helicopter brings the president right here. This is the presidential helicopter landing site. Guess what?
What?
You too can take a helicopter ride from here. A helicopter ride ain't cheap. It's expensive, but I tell you this, it's one of the most courageous things you can do when visiting New York City. And it's also one of the most memorable things you can do. I took the helicopter ride. I loved it. I think it's worth every single penny, but I won't do it again. I was terrified, all right? But if you're courageous, take that helicopter ride. If that's something you're interested in, let me know, and we can call and make those reservations for you. Everyone, take your cameras out. Come on, guys. Everybody, take your cameras out. Point your camera to the left side of the boat. You want to know why?
Why?
Because the captain and myself, we are going to guide your eyes to one of the oldest and most famous churches in America. Guess what? You're only going to have 5 seconds to see it. Follow my instructions. Point your camera to the left and zoom in. Do it now. Zoom, 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 zoom. Just zoom in. You see that white boat there? Behind the white boat that I'm pointing to, there's a wide open street before the white building. Zoom into the wide open street right behind that white boat that I'm pointing to. Look at me, I'm pointing. All the way at the end of that street, that famous street. If you saw the church, say I saw it.
I saw it.
That church is called Trinity Church. There's a cemetery that surrounds the church. That's where you'll find several signers of the Declaration of Independence are buried. That's also where you'll find the burial ground of Alexander Hamilton. Guess what? That street that you looked across to see the church, most famous street in all the world, that was Wall Street. Guess who?
Who?
Me. Guess who?
Who?
Me. Guess who?
Who?
Me. Guess where?
Where?
Ladies and gentlemen, it gives me great pride to tell you this. Welcome to my neighborhood here on the left side of the boat. This is where I grew up. This is where my family remains. And this is a historical district you must visit. This neighborhood is called the South Street Seaport. We call it the Seaport because at one time this is where all the seafood came into New York City. There's something for every single one of you at the South Street Seaport. The Seaport is loaded. I mean loaded with great, great restaurants. From the budget traveler all the way to the high-end traveler. Go to the South Street Seaport. You know what? The biggest mistake you guys can make, does anybody know what it is? The biggest mistake you can make is to make the decision. You guys can stand now. You guys can stand now. The photographer, you can stand now, stand. The photographer, Barris, is in the back of the boat, taking photos in the back of the boat, here at the Brooklyn Bridge. Watch your foot for the wire. Look up, look up, look up. Ladies and gentlemen, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Brooklyn Bridge. The Brooklyn Bridge was built in 1886. The bridge is recognized as one of the world's most iconic bridges. Take a really good look at Brooklyn now. Forget about the bridge for a moment. Take a really good look at Brooklyn on the right side of the boat. Because here is where you must come to. Here is where you must come to. Underneath the Brooklyn Bridge, there's an ice skating rink. Look at the rooftops. Take a really good look at the rooftops. Public open rooftop spaces. Restaurants in the evening. Clubs, rooftop lounges. That carousel that you see there in the glass case is called the Jane Carousel. That carousel is 102 years old. It comes from Philadelphia. Look all the way to the left of the carousel, you'll see a beach. That beach is called Pebble Beach. It's the smallest beach in New York. Go to this neighborhood called Dumbo, get a slice of pizza, and park yourself on the wall at Pebble Beach. 2.7 million people live in Brooklyn, and this neighborhood that you're now looking at has more visitors than any other neighborhood. Directly behind us is the Brooklyn Bridge. On the right side of us is the Manhattan Bridge. And if you look all the way up the river on the right, you'll also see the Williamsburg Bridge. We have a nickname for these three bridges. We call these three bridges the BMW bridges, like the car, BMW. B for Brooklyn Bridge, M for Manhattan Bridge, and W for Williamsburg Bridge. Guess what?
What?
The legend. The legend of the Brooklyn Bridge says, if you kiss or hug the one you love underneath the Brooklyn Bridge, guess what?
What?
The legend says your love will last forever. Give your buddies a hug. Give your lovers a kiss. Hug your mamas and papas and your babies. It must happen under the bridge. It must happen under the bridge. Look up, look up, look up. Get ready for the hug, homeboys, homegirls, mamas and papas and babies and lovers. Go for it. Oh. Did you two kiss?
Yeah.
Kiss. Oh. This is my favorite part of the tour. So much love being revealed. Guess what?
What?
All you couples that did not kiss under the bridge, guess what?
What?
Your marriage is over. On that note, let's take a break from the tour. Get yourself a drink at the bar because that's exactly what I'm about to do. Use the restroom. And I will see you all. I will see you all at the Statue of Liberty. Once again, my
Later. No, to the statue. Later. What are you doing?
Lexi.
Lexi, what are you doing?
Yun na.
Yuri, leave me. Hold it. There comes the statue. Here comes the statue. Right there.
If you look to the right side of the boat, you're looking at Ellis Island. Ellis Island is a National Historical Immigration Station Monument Museum. 12 million immigrants came to America through Ellis Island. When a ship would arrive to Ellis Island, the very first thing the immigrants would do is have a medical examination. If you passed the medical examination, you were welcome into this country with open arms. But those immigrants that did not pass the medical examination, they were not welcome into this country. They had to return to their country. Ellis Island, on the right side of the boat, closed its doors in 1954 when the very last immigrant became an American citizen. If you go to Ellis Island here on the right side of the boat, the very first thing you must do when you arrive to the island is sit in front of one of their computers and put your family's last name into the databank. No matter where you eat, both of her feet are 13 feet long. She has chains around her ankles that represent freedom from bondage. From the bottom of her foot to the very tip of her golden flame, she stands 305 feet and a half inch. She wears a crown on her head. The crown has 7 points. The 7 points represent the 7 continents of the world. She's made of copper. There's no paint on her. Her copper skin had turned into her beautiful green patina color due to the weather conditions. In her left hand she holds an iPad. Her name is Liberty Enlightening the World. Her name is Liberty Enlightening the World. For many, she is a symbol of hope. For many, she is a symbol of freedom. But for all around the world, she is the embodiment of the American dream. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Statue of Liberty. Our photographer Barris is now at the back of the boat taking photos. These photos that our photographer taking are professional photos. They only cost about $10, and it's the perfect takeaway souvenir. Cheaper than a t-shirt, cheaper than a keychain, cheaper than a baseball cap. Let our photographer take your photo. Walk away with the photo in your hand.
Brooklyn, doon ng Manhattan. Yan. Manhattan, Brooklyn.
Guess what? Guess who?
Who?
Guess where?
Where?
Guess when?
When?
Guess why?
Why?
Guess how this hat on my hand, this beautiful fire engine red hat, can belong to you. This hat belongs to one of you. We just have to find out which one of you it belongs to. You're gonna give me $1? Okay, here. No, I'm just kidding. Guess what?
What?
I'm going to ask a question. If you know the answer to my question, raise your hand. The first hand, I have to ask the question first. The first hand that goes up is who I will pick. If you answer my question correctly, you will win this beautiful, luxurious, handmade, one-of-a-kind, all-inclusive hat. It's inclusive. It's warm, it's soft, keeps your ears warm, all-inclusive. Are you ready for the question? Are you ready for the question?
Yes.
My name is Michael, yes. Say what? That's not, I asked the question, not you. Here is the question. First hand that goes up is who I will pick. Which one, let me stand back so I can see everyone. Which one of you fine tourists can tell me, and remember you must qualify, which one of you can tell me the names of the 5 boroughs of New York? The guy right here, stand up. Stand up. What's your name? Simba? Simba! Everybody say Simba!
Simba!
Simba, where you from? Where do you live now? You live in London? You live in Manchester. Have you ever lived in New York? Yeah. You lived in New York before? You qualify. Please answer the question correctly. Please tell everyone the names of the 5 boroughs of New York. Manhattan is one. New Jersey is not a borough. New Jersey is a state. Simba. New Jersey's over there. It's a state. Sit down. Everybody know, stand back up. Everybody say Simba.
Simba!
Say it like this. Simba.
Simba!
You are disqualified. Good try, Simba. I'll ask the question again. I'm sure you've all had time to look in your phone for the answer. You got to put your hand down until I ask the question. First hand that goes up is who I will pick. You better move fast because I know a lot of you checked out the answer. Which one of you tourists can tell me the names of the 5 boroughs of New York? The lady with the blue shirt, I got to be fair, stand up. Where are you from?
Alaska.
Where do you live?
Alaska.
Have you ever lived in New York?
No, first day.
First day? Well, you got on the right boat for your first day. What's your name?
Valentine.
Valentine? Everybody say Happy Valentine!
Happy Valentine!
And it's a birthday! Valentine, I really hope you get the answer right, and I'm confident that you will. Simba, are you listening? Valentine, please name the 5 boroughs of New York.
Brooklyn.
Brooklyn is 1. Bronx is 2. Manhattan is 3. Shh. I'm going to count to 3. 1. Who? Are you trying to say Staten? Staten Island is 4. Shh. I'm going to count to 3. 1, 2. Right in front of my face, she looked at her phone. Right in front of me, she looked at her phone. But guess what?
What?
She still got it correct. You are the winner. Come forward. Come on, move fast, Valentine. I now crown you the smartest girl on the boat. Put your head down. My God, she's got a big head. Guess what? Valentine, there's something else I want to say to you. Are you ready? Well, I heard it was your birthday, so I like to say happy birthday to you in a musical way. You're the birthday girl who's the talk of the town. You should make the papers for miles around. Shooby, shooby, dooby, start the celebration. Everybody wish this lovely young lady a happy, happy birthday. Thank you. I'm so glad that you won. Simba, did you learn anything? Simba, come over here. I got a gift for you. My gift is better than the gift that she got. But this is a gift, Simba, that you cannot see. You cannot put it in your pocket, but you'll know in your heart that it belongs to you. That's one gift. Oh, this guy's so sweet. Simba, you ready to receive this gift? You must follow my instructions very carefully. Follow my fingers, Simba.